Is it Friday? Friday. Sometimes I'm not sure. I've been hit in the head a few times.
You made it.
Over my lifetime. But as JB had just mentioned, Off the Rails Friday, which means one thing, Doug MacLean, top of the hour. Track him down in Florida. In about 35 minutes, we'll welcome in Luke Fox, and we'll get his thoughts of the week that it was for the Toronto Maple Leafs. In the meantime, Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz with you for the next 2 hours as we kick it off in our Leaf Edition hour live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. Leafs awfully busy. Now it kind of cools off a little bit, JB, as they'll get another good night's rest before taking on the Edmonton Oilers Saturday night. And a little bit of breathing room with the following game not happening till next Wednesday against Vegas.
So with that, it sounds like they're taking the opportunity to tell Auston Matthews, get right. You know, you miss one more game and it allows you another decent breath of days. So no Matthews on Saturday night versus Connor McDavid, which is too bad.
That sucks. It sucks.
Yeah. Tell JB how disappointed we are.
What? In what?
That Matthews isn't playing.
Yeah. I mean,
Is the answer a lot?
Yeah, of course. I'm
Really, really sad.
Now I get it. Now
Really sad.
Sad.
No, really sad.
He only did one, really. Of all the things to get stuck into your crop, and he was right. Borny was right.
The Matthews situation has become sort of. I don't understand why we, the general public, or anyone, or the team, why it's so secretive. Has anyone's injuries ever been as secretive as Matthews? What's the big deal if they're like, his back's all tweaked, give him a minute.
If there's a chance that you just don't give away, details, you generally don't. If people want to speculate, you speculate, and then there's sometimes when people just know and say it.
When there is a information void, people fill it with whatever they want. And in turn, Sam McKee gets text messages from people who see Matthews on a walk and diagnosing his condition based on how he's walking his dog.
You got some scoopage for us?
Yeah. I got multiple DMs. I saw Matthews. He had reflective sunglasses on. Maybe it's a concussion. Like, what are we doing here? Just tell people what's wrong with the second best player in the league. Tell people what's wrong. The Edmonton Oilers put out a thing saying, ankle, 2.5 weeks. Why has it been day-to-day for 10 days? It's absurd.
Yeah, and he hasn't skated since Sunday.
So is there like an underlying worry in your world with your friends and your buddies that this could be more serious? Is that what you're getting to?
Yeah, 100%.
I think the more it goes on like this, the more it's like, is it one of those things that's just going to drag on? Then it's like, actually, he needs surgery on this. Where
what's the last game? What's the last game he played?
I think this will be November
3rd
against the Wild.
5.
Yes, he played back-to-backs. Played 42 minutes over 2 games against St. Louis, Minnesota.
So this will be his 6th game he's missing.
Yes, the most he's missed since surgery. So the year he had shoulder surgery. Tough phrase to say, and I nailed it.
I'm just this has been a complaint of ours for a long time.
Let's wildly speculate, shall we?
Well, last year in the playoffs, I was like, maybe it's a knee, maybe it's his head. Like, no one knows anything. Willie's got a headache, I think. Like, it's just, they're so vague. And I get it. They don't want people. It's not 1994. People aren't going to be like running to slash him across the back.
Like at the end of the day, though, even if you revealed it, and people are going to just speculate anyways.
What do you think it is?
It's not his wrists.
Okay.
Not his shoulder. Not his knee.
Okay.
What if I told you
is it his knees and toes?
What if would it make you feel better if I said he's out with a sore back?
No.
Yeah, I mean, no. His injuries go, but he's had a back thing before, is he not? Like kind of a
I got news
back?
for you. We've all had backs.
Yeah. Old McKee over here.
Yeah, I got
Gumby has some back issues coming, let me tell you.
I already do. I already do for no reason.
What happened? Nothing.
we assume if it was game one in the playoffs, he'd be playing.
I don't know. I would have till last year.
Oh, good point.
He
Good
disappeared then too with no explanation.
But he was throwing up. He couldn't. He was like he just was weighed as a ghost.
Yeah, he apparently was very
not
sick.
in any position to play. Apparently,
Okay.
Same with Willie.
Okay.
Apparently.
I'm just.
Can we just get
But no,
Berube?
it's. You make a valid point. I mean, at some point you gotta. Yeah.
What's going on? Let's listen to Craig Berube on Auston Matthews.
Normal. I mean, no setbacks. Just we're doing what we can. Like, we got 1 game or 2 games and, a long stretch here of time. So we're letting them recover.
Okay, earlier in the week he said it's not progressing as fast as they'd want to, really, and that's when we started kind of.
I feel bad for Berube to have to go out there and be like,
Yeah.
answer these questions every day because
He's
you're like,
fine with it. He couldn't care less.
But if they've asked him to not say anything, then you have to go out and not say anything. It's like,
yeah. And
It's
he
a
got asked.
general rule. You don't say anything anyways. When was the last time the Leafs said, "Oh, it's this specifically"? Maybe they did, and I don't remember.
I don't know.
Not much.
Not much.
Not
It's
much.
usually kind of secretive,
All right.
but they're overcooking them. Whatever it is, they want to overcook them.
I think you can see they played on a Wednesday, and then there's one game between next Wednesday. So you say you miss one more game, you get a whole nother week. I'm fine with that.
I do think though that it's serious enough that you mentioned game one of the
Maybe
play.
3 weeks
Ga-
of playing here.
Game one of the playoffs clearly is not important as a game in November against the Edmonton Oilers, but this is a meaningful game. This is always a meaningful game. Connor and Matthews have a rivalry. This is a thing that people care about. This is a thing that both of them care about. I would say that this is a game that if you're going to miss this, you are more hurt than you're letting on. Like, I'm surprised. Like, I think this game matters to the Leafs big time. I think it matters to Matthews, matters to McDavid. This is a surprise.
Sportsnet.
Wow.
Yeah, what about us?
My beloved Sportsnet.
The fans.
Doodle-loot. Like, I get it, but it just, he's missing this one. This is a bigger one than normal. I expected him to be
Agree with
back
that.
for this one.
It's one thing I'm coming to learn a little bit more is these guys who get drafted high up do feel competition with the guys who also got drafted high or around them in particular. Like
Jordan and Magic or
Sure.
Bird and Jordan.
But I think McDavid and Eichel, I still think that there's some whatever. Matthews and Laine had their thing in the early going before Laine kind of stepped back from that race.
Yeah.
But Mishkov decked Celebrini in the face the other night. There is this sort of desire to prove
Mr.
yourself. against the
Matthews
other
wouldn't
best
mind
guys.
hitting another 50 goals,
Sure.
right? But
Take another rocket.
There is one thing about this that kind of makes me feel good in a way, is that they're really not caring about singular records or whatever.
No.
Like, if they're not pushing him to get back here and they're being, extra cautious, this and that, like, he's going to have a really hard time missing 3 weeks of a season getting to 50 goals
You
or getting to any personal
you
records.
think they learned their lesson at the end of last year?
I hope they did,
No,
Kip.
I don't think
I
so.
really hope they did.
Oh, I think 100% they learned their lesson.
I think they learned their lesson, but I don't think that he's healthy right now and they're holding him out to avoid a record chase at the end of the year.
No, not specifically that, but to send that message that Sammy just alluded to, that we are not in this for numbers,
Sure.
so don't worry about your numbers, whatever that may be at the end of it.
Let's listen to Berube on surprised how long it's taken for him to get back or taking.
Am I surprised?
It's been, yeah.
Well, everybody's different, and all injuries and things are different, right? I mean, I don't have an answer for you with that. Would I like him back? Yeah, for sure, but it is what it is. So we just got to keep moving on, and without him right now.
Chipper Berube. Hey? That's nice.
That's what a
I really
good
enjoyed that.
back half of the Washington Capitol game could do for you.
Truly. The more I think about that game, that's massive. In particular, you don't have to rush Matthews. You feel like you're still getting your points at least.
Think about how you would have felt if they would have quietly gone away at 3-1 or 4-1 in
Back-to-back
Washington
games,
and then
get
not having
smoked.
Matthews Saturday night.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're so they're 10-6. They lose that game. They would have been one of them, make it 9-7. It gets a little tighter.
Tough test on Saturday night, obviously,
Yeah.
with them coming in off that big game on the last night.
So
Yeah.
what did we learn about the lines, Sammy?
Well, Domi wasn't there today. So if you'll look at the lines I put in the lineup here, William Nylander, centering the second line at practice,
Feels like Domi
is banged up.
is banged up.
He's not healthy.
He's not healthy.
No.
Now, how long of this 11-game slump has he not been healthy for, do we think?
I probably think he's been battling something for, I don't know, a week, week and a half.
Why don't we check in and see what Coach Brough has to say? Clip 3.
Well, obviously, yeah, for sure, a player like him and players like that, they're going to struggle mentally a little bit with it. But, you know, he had some opportunities last game. It didn't go in, and, you know, he's just got to keep fighting through it. You know, he'll be fine. But, you know, obviously, you know, he feels it, and, you know, I feel it for him. So, you know, we talked to him about it, and he's got to just fight through it, and he is right now.
We talked to him about it. It's interesting. Call him into the office, have a chit-chat. What do you think that sounds like?
I think it would be just finding ways to help him. He played close to 20 minutes against Washington, if I'm not mistaken.
Over 20, I think.
Over
Played-
20?
Really?
I think he played 21, maybe.
That's an important player for any coach when you're dealing with those type of numbers. So I would think that talk had some positive vibes to it. Let's help you. What are you seeing? What are you thinking? The breakaway against Washington was
20-58 he played.
big minutes.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was overtime, too.
Yeah. But even without overtime plays,
Yeah.
big, large minutes. Like the breakaway told you everything you need to know about where his confidence level was at. That is not a move that's...
He's pretty killer one-on-one. I like him.
is.
I like him on breakaways.
He is, and he's got some nice mitts. We've seen it in the past, but that was not feeling it move.
No.
Not to make excuses for Max, but that was the most classic he catches with the wrong hand move of all time.
Like halfway through it, and you're like, oh, God, he's
His glove is I'm
goofy-handed.
shooting this into his glove.
Yeah.
Like that's a low blocker move. And, you know, he's fighting it. He's not thinking. He's like, I'm going to go low blocker where every guy goes. And then you shoot into a big mitt. So I'll give him a little bit of a break on that one.
Yeah, give him a little bit of break, but I'll lean on him a little bit here. Right now, it feels like I don't know the game state. Remember I say this about Liljegren, like where you want him out. Like if you're not getting points, and we're talking a lot of games in a row, and you're not a defensive guy, and it's like what's the situation? A special teams guy, 21 minutes, a lot of minutes for him. You know, they need more from him. I understand that they see value in him or whatever, but it's not been enough so far. He'd tell you the same.
What did Camp hit for minutes? I didn't see.
17 or something. He was up there.
He was
good.
up there too.
I had it a moment ago.
I got it right here. He played 14-21.
Just 14? Maybe it was a game before he played more.
Yeah.
He's played 14-21, 14-20, 14-22, the last three.
Not sure what I was thinking of.
And then Tavares was
That's
probably
it. He was
as high.
17-51.
No. He was over 20 as well. What
game do I have in my head?
No.
gotta look.
Tavares
All right,
Wednesday
all right.
night against Washington probably hit
20-56.
21 minutes.
Jesus, Murphy, boy.
So
lock it up.
those are big minutes. But you can't argue that they didn't carry their freight.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't carry the team's heavy lifting Wednesday night, which was again a good sign without your horse in there, Austin.
Steven Lorenz played 8:34. And Reeves played 6:22.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out who didn't play if all these guys played so many minutes.
Is there a world that maybe Max does not play either Saturday night and you go with Willie?
He said that he was going to play.
He's going to play?
Yeah, he said
okay.
he's going to play. But do you want to
so
hear?
is Willie going to play center?
Would
Because
you,
today he
would you like
practiced
to see
center.
Willie?
Well, the coach seemed pretty interested by it, if I do say so myself. Let's hear the clip.
Play
Clip
him at
5,
center.
please.
God.
Well, yeah, Max is out, and he's, Willie, like we talked about center, at camp and all that. But what I like about it, he still takes draws, he's still in there, which is good, and that's what he's got to keep doing. And it's kind of he's really good in the face-off dot. He's like 55% on the year, which is good, and he was fine in the middle today. He looked good to me.
Ooh.
First off, I am super into excitable Ruby. This is great.
Yeah, he sounded like he's in a good mood today.
Love the energy today. Willie's thing, and we talked about this going into this year, the reason that coaches wanted to keep him a wing is because he's gone. And he's getting breakaways and odd man rushes.
Which we haven't seen all year.
Not at all. I don't know if he has one registered breakaway this year.
And he's still finding ways to put the puck in the net.
He is. But if he's not going to get those rush chances, just play him at center. Play him at center. He's a big, strong dude, good edges. halfway committed to defense. But if you can sell him a little harder.
I don't know for the life of me why they've never considered Mitch Marner at center.
Yeah.
Why?
No.
Why? He is.
I'm fine. Try it.
He is
Try them both at center.
best.
At the same time.
He is their best playmaker.
Yeah.
Why not even a mere mention?
Because.
Does he want to do it? Maybe they've asked him and he's like, I want no part of that.
Oh, that's the way it works in the NHL. You suggest something to a player and a player tells you how to coach.
Well,
no.
Well, you're telling me they pick their own ice time every time we do the damn show, Kip. So
well, that's because then you start getting into your job insecurity.
I imagine they would have a conversation. Is this something that would interest you?
There's no way they haven't had the conversation.
And I can't believe for 1 second Mitch Marner would go, no, I'm not interested in center. I don't believe that for 1 second.
Do you know this or not, that they have approached him to play center ever?
No, I do not know.
I would imagine at some point over his 8 years here that they would have been like, hey, Mitch, what about center?
He is the most.
Yeah, we know all the reasons.
He's the most looking centerman when he's out there for a winger I've ever seen. He's always in the middle of the ice. He's always deep. He's always behind the net helping. He's always the high man guy.
Yeah.
We know. Buddy, there's a great Andrew Brewer article this year about how that could look. Definitely worth a try. There's all the scrambling. What can we do? Did he play center in junior at all?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I think probably Hunter moved him at some point from center to winger. But
yeah. I mean, you're scrambling to find guys who can play center on this team. You have all this money tied up in certain names.
Willie has definitely played center much more recently than.
Yeah, he played it in the American League.
That's what I mean. He played it there. So I think that's more why the conversation's there. Marner's literally never done it at the pro level, right? So that's probably why.
I also think it's like a physicality thing.
Would it be the thought of Sheldon even years prior and even Craig's is like, I can't take him off Matthews or Tavares. I mean, one of them needs him.
No, I don't think that's the case.
No?
I think what it is you're looking at another team and you're saying, okay, they're down the middle. They're Barkov and whoever, and you feel like maybe Marner is not physically able to contain people down low in the playoffs when you play against the best teams, and it's who top guys for Braden Point or Sorelli or whoever. Maybe I would say size is probably why he hasn't typically been looked at as a center.
I would agree with that. And I think also, some of the struggles that has happened in the playoffs with him, focusing on defense and all this stuff, I don't think you want to put that on him even more as like the center, where it's just like that's even more stuff to think about.
But if he started now, by the time you get to playoffs, you could be comfortable. You should do it for a few games and just see.
They just never have. So I don't think they ever will.
Yeah.
I don't think there's.
Anyways. Well, let's listen to Brough talk about Willie.
No, we did.
Oh, we did.
We did.
That one. Oh, there. Ignore me then. Well, through our clips.
Then let's move it over to the greatest hockey player in the world. And how do you shut him down now Saturday night without Auston going head to head?
It's a good question. He's been unbelievable lately. That overtime pass to Darnell.
Yeah.
Quite nice.
Yeah.
Quite nice.
Okay, let's go to Craig Brough on facing one of the fastest players in NHL history to get to 1,000 points, McDavid.
What's that?
You happy you got 1,000 points out of the way before he could?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but it'll be tough to handle. I mean, he's a great player. We know that, and we're going to have to do a real good job. It's, everybody's, when he's on the ice, everybody's got to pay attention, and they got to be, you got to take time and space away from the best you can and deny him the puck as much as you can, and that's really it.
This matchup scares me. This is where when you don't have Auston Matthews to go head-to-head with him, where it's like...
I got a little bit more faith in that blue line now.
Well, no, I just meant forward-wise. I think, no Tavares up against him as your number one center is not the ideal scenario in terms of a foot speed matchup, I wouldn't say, but...
I actually think if you're Edmonton, not a bad time to split up Leon and Connor and say, one of you will get Domi as a center, one of you get Tavares.
Yeah.
Should be able to win those matchups.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Connor, interesting last night, listening to him post-game, for this milestone, a pretty stoic, I would say boring guy most of the time. This seemed to actually mean something to him, this 1,000 points.
We have.
I mean, you're surprised at that, that it actually meant something to him?
100%.
Or that he showed the emotion that it meant something.
That he showed it. You know, I expected him to say, you know, we're on to Cincinnati, you know, and not focus on his.
Derek, there's a McDavid clip in there. You want to play it? And this jumped out to me too. If you want to play it.
Yeah, you know what? Like, some of these things have kind of hit me a little bit more emotionally than I would have thought. You know, you spend your whole life playing hockey and loving the game, and just wanted to play and make the NHL. And 1,000 points later, been doing it for 10 years now. It's pretty special. You take it for granted sometimes, and as I said, these moments give you a chance to look back and be grateful.
Like this whole, I listened to all the posts going through the stuff. It's usually an incredibly grumpy locker room, even in wins, even whatever it is. This is by far the most jovial I've seen. All Leon's scrum, he was joking around, he was laughing with the media. McDavid was laughing with the media, which is extremely rare.
Mm-hmm.
It meant something to him. 1,000 points in 653 is absurd.
Yeah.
I think even him being oh my God, I'm really good.
It's crazy how long he's been in the league now. I think the thing that stands out for me is there must be some relief when you're an exceptional player in junior, exceptional status, and you're the next one, and you're the first overall pick. You're all this pressure. There must be some relief that comes with getting to a milestone like this and saying they can't take that away from me. I'm the fourth fastest to 1,000 points.
Listen, I saw that emotion for sure, and it's a great milestone, but that guy will not get relief anywhere until he's lifting the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. You are Marcel Dion. Mm-hmm. You are Gilbert Perreault. You could be talked about as one of the most talented players in the history, but you want to get on that other side with Stanley Cup champions. It's not 1,000. It's not 1,200. It won't be 1,500 points. People are talking about 2,000 being very realistic, and there's no doubt about it. It is. Mm-hmm. But if this guy gets to 2,000 points and he's not a Stanley Cup champion, this guy will be miserable the rest of his life.
So I agree that he will be, unfulfilled. For sure. But I do think that the amount of teams in the league now changes the math, where we're going to see more and more players. Yeah, that's fine. But the way we talk about these guys, you look at the recent Hall of Fame inductees, you see less and less Hall of Fame inductees with cups.
Yeah. As long as
that's going to be a trend because there's so many teams.
And less respect for them than if they would have won.
For sure. Yes. It's great to win cups. It's preferred to win cups.
Yeah.
But I do think that it used to be there's only 20 teams. You were in the league for 15 years and you didn't win one. That's bad.
That part of the conversation amongst guys having beers or anybody else, nobody cares about how many teams there were compared. And that should be taken into account, and that should be, more realistic.
That's a lack of thoughtfulness on that beer conversation then. It's totally different. There's less cups to go around.
But with 18, 20 teams that never had a chance to win that cup to begin with either. We're eliminating teams now, the 15 games in. So where is, again, 32 teams coming into the equation of less of a chance?
Once the playoffs start, it's
right?
No, it's not a good point. If you have 100 teams in the league or 4, you're more likely to win the cup when there's 4. It's just there's more teams that can be good and you can be on the wrong team.
But there aren't many teams that could be good. They're not. We watched this league and it's oh my God, they stink. Oh, they stink too. It's a cup or bust. He said it last year.
I know for him that is his sole focus. But I know that the Cups won a lot of cups when they were 6.
He better win. He better move to a tax-free state so he's got a chance.
Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah, but sign with Florida, he might have a chance to win a cup.
We are seeing a more emotional guy, and I'll tell you, for the life of me, I know, and we've had this conversation about cameras in the dressing room, but his rant in the playoffs where he's screaming, I just hated it.
You hated that we saw it.
Yes. I hated that I found him a little weak and desperate there. And I don't want to see Connor McDavid weak and desperate. It's okay he is. And I'm not even saying that a Mark Messier or some of our greatest leaders didn't have a weak moment or had a temper tantrum. And at the end of the day, that's what I saw. Him in that dressing room with the cameras rolling, screaming at everybody. I didn't like it. I didn't like it for him. And I hate it that they use it in promos right now.
Yeah.
If I was him, if I was his agent, I'd say, get that crap off. Okay, it's not a good promo, me screaming like that.
One of my darkest moments in my life is like how you're promoting your league. Sick.
But
I agree with you both.
That's what everybody talked about, and they use it.
Oh yeah.
Now, if
And
I
it's
may,
like-
part of the reason was there wasn't much else there to grab in that series.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the boys went out for dinner. They got some meatballs. It was really, really tough.
It's just a raw emotion for him, and that's okay. Yeah. But like as a leader, that's not what the team needs to be yelled at like that, right?
Yeah, there's almost this like undertone of like entitlement. Like, why are you not giving me what I need?
Why aren't you me?
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
why don't you want it as bad as I do right now?
Don't you recognize
because
that everything hinges on this for
ultimately, everybody in that locker room, Leon Draisaitl's an unbelievable player. Nugent Hopkins, Nurse, like Ekholm, Bouchard, all these guys have great players, Zach Hyman. But like when you look back on it, it's the most important to him, to McDavid, to his legacy. Like defines him, right? If he doesn't have that, then it defines him. Did you guys see the stat? Oh, go ahead.
We should also play the Leon clip.
Yeah, play the Leon clip. Yeah,
so let's hear what Draisaitl had to say weighing in on that.
Yeah, it's a special moment. I mean, this is, again, I said it the other day, but this is legendary stuff, right? So to witness that, to be a part of it, and, to have seen him grow up from when he was 18, when we first met him, it's pretty cool, pretty amazing to be a part of.
Legendary stuff.
And the clip we heard from McDavid was not him on the ice, was it?
No, it was him.
Because he was very emotional, and he spoke of that, right? That, we've
grew up on the ice together.
Yeah, in front of everyone's eyes, right? Yeah. And, it gives you a sense of...
Time flies, and it feels like the sands of the hourglass are halfway through.
And more importantly, for Oiler fans, he ain't going anywhere.
No, that's true.
Right?
The Leon contract to me.
I'll sign in July, and whatever the number is, but I'm an Oiler.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to be like...
No, listen,
You okay with that? That he's not going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf?
No, it breaks every part of my heart, and the league should have rigged it so he would be a Leaf. It's absurd they didn't.
Some days I'm really glad you're on the show.
Well, it's like it's a historic, floundering franchise with a kid that's all he's ever wanted to do was play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they rigged it for Sid, rig it for Toronto Maple Leafs, rig it. Just rig it.
The league desperately wanted the Penguins to have another
They were about to go under.
They should have frozen enveloped it for the Leafs.
No question they should have rigged it. It breaks my heart every day they didn't. It's just like, anyways.
I don't know where to go with that.
I love it. What a take.
This has been one of my takes
by not rigging.
And then next year they rigged it for the Leafs, so they got Matthews. But they got Matthews instead of McDavid. Matthews is great, but it's not McDavid. Anyways, games between Connor McDavid point milestones. Did you see that stat I put on the lineup?
I love that.
This is from Sportsnet Stats on Twitter, so give them a follow, or X. They're an unbelievable follow. This blows my mind. From 701 to 800, it was 58 games. From 801 to 900 points, it was 58 games. From 901 points to 1,000 points, it's 58 games.
58 games at a time. He just bites off 100 points.
That's insane. Like, how can you not say he's going to get to...
And it's funny watching it tick down. Early in his career, 92, 82, 67. Now we're down to 58.
58 is insane.
Can I just show a little love to the late Mike Bossy, who beat Connor McDavid to that mark?
1,000 points.
Like, I'm looking at him going, Gretzky, Lemieux, okay, and then McDavid. And so, no, Mike Bossy. And I'm like, I remember Mike Bossy scoring 50 goals a year.
Yeah.
But to get to 1,000 points even faster than this guy, are we giving as much love to Mike Bossy as he deserved when he retired?
He's a great example of we said if McDavid's career ends today, he's a Hall of Famer. But it's funny because that kind of happened to Bossy's career with the back injuries. And we don't talk about him the same way if he had played
No,
5 more years.
not even close.
No.
Not even
And
close.
his last year in the league, he scored 40 goals in 60 games. That was Bossy's last year in the league. 38 and 63 to be exact.
His goal totals from all of the years in his career. 53, 69, 51, 68, 64, 60, 51, 58, 61, 38.
Yeah, just goofy.
That's absurd.
Just goofy.
That is underappreciated. It's a great call.
Yeah.
It is totally underapprecited.
It's so funny
With
that
4 straight cups
the
mixed in there.
first time he scored less than 50 goals in a season, he's like,
I'm back.
Oh my, you're so good.
And you know what? Getting to play with Tocchet and Gillies, a little bit of room out there
Helped.
for the guy.
Helped.
Trotz was unbelievable.
Yeah,
player,
those
for
other
sure.
2 guys were okay.
They made a little space out there for him.
Awesome.
All right. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll bring in Sportsnet.ca's Luke Fox. That and more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. We're back. Sammy, you okay? Did I startle you?
No.
So I was just cutting some audio, as I am a producer after all. I wasn't listening. I didn't know the show was back.
All right, in a couple minutes, or maybe like in 5 seconds. I don't know. Luke Fox.
Yeah.
What are you going to ask him?
We don't have him yet. I'm going to ask him about which vertebrae is
No.
Oh,
Matthews is suffering.
oh my God. Is it his head? Is it his back? Is it his leg?
Yeah.
Concussion would make
so
sense to me,
One thing that I did
No,
want to
that's a scary word.
but it would make sense. Like he's been on the ice,
Yeah.
tried to push it.
I know. But you
Now
don't
it hasn't
want
been on the ice. Listen, I'm not saying. I'm just saying it would make sense if that was it. Upper body, right?
our boy Cloak had an article on Simone Benoit, and I wanted to take a victory lap
Oh,
on,
yeah?
on the tired thing.
Oh, yeah.
Remember saying that Benoit's not been great. He's kind of a fringy guy who has not been great. And I said he had a new kid. And Benoit, the whole conversation is about how, Benoit saying, would you run a marathon without sleep? I don't think so. When asked about the impacts of sleep, your body would feel like crap. Your brain would be foggy. His voice trails off as he reflects on merging an exhaustive day job with the emotional and physical toll that comes with their first child.
Oh, my God.
It's a whole article of him just being like, I'm dying
I'm
out
tired,
here,
man.
I'm tired.
But they put in the, I don't know, you guys ever watch Lord of the Rings? The big trees, the Ents?
Yeah.
They put him in to replace Benoit, Hawk and Paw.
I think really, he is an end.
Have a baby in the summer.
I mean, you got to think this through.
Yeah, like plan.
And it even mentions in that article, don't forget,
when the feeling hits, Cap, it's hard to it's sort of a spontaneous thing.
Morgan Riley had his first child a month before training camp this year, too.
That explains everything.
Well, hey, I don't think it explains nothing.
Are you saying that for sure that this guy is changing diapers and he's on
Who, Benoit or Riley?
both of them?
Yes. I genuinely think it has an impact. Tavares has some comments in the article about his not worst season, but he had a tough stretch where his kids were born.
There one call from Sammy away from having him come over and change a diaper.
I actually wish I got the quote from Tavares, but one of his quotes is, we're a professional athlete, you need to get a night nurse. Like, you need to hire someone to be at your house to, like, deal with the baby while you sleep.
Those are expensive, though. Can they afford it?
Well, Tavares can. Benoit might be a little tighter. Might be a little bit different for him. But I do think that there is home impacts that we often don't consider. And now, is it going to be hard for Benoit to get back in? Since Hawk and Paw
Maybe not till the kid goes to grade 2.
5 years from now or something, 6 years from now, be ready to go. Wasn't great math, probably.
So we're just having some Zoom issues with Luke. We're going to get him on FaceTime here. Sorry.
No problem.
No problem at all. So, yeah, the Hawk and Paw thing, I am curious to see if he gets in on Saturday night or if it's Benoit, particularly given that Hawk and Paw's a right shot guy. Timmins is a guy that you don't want to take out.
How
I'd go
about
back.
Myers? No?
I'd go back to Benoit, I think.
Would you?
Like he's been not great, but it's the lefty-righty thing. I guess they had it on all 3 pairs when they put Hawk and Paw in there. They shuffled things around, so maybe you stick with it. But, I don't think Benoit's been like sit a bunch of games in a row bad. Do you?
No. He's fringy enough that if it's not going great.
Okay.
So if they're this careful with Auston Matthews, and why wouldn't they treat Hawk and Paw the same? And Why would you want to play him 2 consecutive games for you?
I guess there's enough days between, right? Words are hard.
But for him, like the only goal with him is to get him over the finish line where he's available. That's the number one goal.
A big body like that, I'd like him to play enough that he's, comfortable out there and not looking like the Tin Man.
Okay, let's go to a guy who still doesn't understand how Zoom works. Let's bring in Luke.
I know,
Fox
Luke. I got to
from
deal. I'm
Sportsnet.
sorry.
You can write all these amazing articles, but you don't know where the power button is. Is that true?
Okay. Have you ever changed computers, Nick? You got a new computer?
Oh, new computer.
So apparently Zoom is not a legitimate approved app in the Rogers family.
Oh,
so I didn't know that.
You need special authorization to get it. Apparently, I'm working on that.
Tyrone's
all
your
right.
boy.
Okay.
So we're doing FaceTime today. Yeah.
Good to know. Okay, so how important was that comeback in Washington for them to face the Edmonton Oilers Saturday night for you?
It was pretty big. Yeah, it was huge. And less about the 2 points that they got in a game that seemed to be gone, right? With 5 minutes to go, 2-goal lead for Washington. More about the morale of the group. It was an absolute stinker against Ottawa. You're missing your captain. You're not playing particularly well. You can't score 5-on-5. And then all of a sudden, in a game where you seem down and out, in a season where most of these games, you haven't had the miraculous comebacks of seasons past, the guys find a way, despite some goals that looked like good goals at first blush and then got taken off the board. They stuck with it. They grinded it out. And especially for John Tavares, I think that was huge for him. And you could tell how big it was for the guys after the game. So in Washington, the visitors' quarters is pretty small. So the guys have to do their stretches outside the room, kind of in front of the reporters after the game. And the vibes were through the roof. Lots of laughing and screaming and high fives. And everyone was so excited, I think, because, it was OEL's 1000th game because of, dramatic comeback win. I think it was a really big morale booster. And it came against what is a really good Washington team this season.
Yeah, we've said that a few times in the show. Like, that felt like a massive turning point for them. So as they head into the weekend against a Oilers team that's won 3 in a row, just had some milestones of their own. Practice today included a couple of guys at center. Well, one guy at center there, and Willie Nylander, that we haven't seen in the past. How likely is it that we actually get to see him play center Saturday night?
Yeah, I think it's 50-50. I think it was kind of interesting. Max Domi, this is the second straight practice that he's missed due to what they're calling maintenance. He's obviously battling something, right? And whether that's the fact that he skipped some morning skates and some practices, or just that he hasn't been on his game, mentally this has got to be taking a toll on him. I think it's like a dozen games now without a point. He's a minus player over that span, even though the team's been playing well. So we might see William Nylander take more shifts at center. Domi should be good to go. It looks like Nick Robertson was probably the placeholder there. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting situation. I think what this Matthews injury has done is just not exposed, because I think a lot of us knew it was there to begin with, but reinforced just how thin they are up the middle. You throw in Calle Yarncroc, he's not coming back anytime soon. And it's like, oh my goodness, this team is screaming for a centerman. And I'm sure it's something they're going to address before the deadline. You just wonder, hope if they keep winning, they aren't rushed to make any rash judgments. But you look at the team they played the other night, Washington, they already went out and got Lars Eller. Mm-hmm. Do they have to make a move sooner than later? Because I think ultimately they don't want Domi playing a 2C role. They don't want Nylander at center in a perfect world. They've shown that to us. So it's an area that they need to address.
We're talking to Luke Fox, Leaf and NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca. All this talk stems from the fact that we will not see Auston Matthews again Saturday night. Just the scuttle amongst you and maybe some of your colleagues that follow the team waiting, wondering. Sammy would rather the Leafs come out and definitively say what's wrong. That's not going to happen. But where on the radar is this for you?
Yeah, I've been poking around, and I'm sure I'm not the only one trying to get more info here. It is curious. I think, they're saying he's improving. Craig Berube said today that there hasn't been a setback. And yet the normal signs of a guy that's improving and, progressing towards playing again aren't staying off the ice, aren't staying home and not getting on the plane ride with teams. So it's a little bit curious. My sense is they're exercising extreme caution. They love the fact that the schedule is laid out this way. So they play Saturday, but they don't play again till Wednesday, and then they don't play again until a week Sunday. So it's like they probably looked at this block of games and say, well, if we can keep our head above water for a couple more games, that'll give them a full extra week to rest whatever is ailing them. And, I think you zoom out, big picture, they know what it's like to go through a playoff series without this guy fully healthy. They don't want to do it again. So might as well miss some regular season games.
Mm-hmm. Luke, you have been here right alongside us following this team for years and watching the ebbs and flows of their strengths and weaknesses. What are your thoughts? I wrote an article last week on their low event. The shape of their team is just they're a low event team, right? They don't create nearly as much as they used to. They don't give up as much. What are your thoughts on what that does for them? Is that a positive development?
I think it's them trying something new with the same people.
Yep.
Because they didn't make changes to the core. So their big move in the offseason was trying a different coach who viewed the game vastly different than I think Sheldon Keefe views the game. So they said, okay, instead of going out and getting scoring help, we might have lost a little bit of scoring, in fact, in Tyler Bertuzzi taking his 20 goals out the door. And they crossed their fingers and hoped that guys like McMahon and Robertson and maybe Holmberg could put a few in the net. That really hasn't happened, but they're hoping for that. And then they're like, let's become a defense first team. And they have been. They've been one of the best defensive teams 5-on-5. And Anthony Stolarz deserves a lot of credit for that, but so does their system. And so does the additions of defensemen like Ekman-Larsson and Chris Tanev. And they are trying to change their identity. They're trying to win more 2-1 games, 3-2 games, instead of blowing the doors off people. Unfortunately, it's come at the expense of their 5-on-5 scoring. And they got lucky, not lucky. They earned it, but they got a rush of some scoring late last game. But if you look over the course of the last couple of weeks, they're pretty mediocre in that regard, and they never were that way. They were always top 2, top 5 in the whole NHL in scoring, and especially even strength scoring. And now it's something they have to figure out. They're still trying to figure out what the balance is. Yeah, you want to be better defensively, but it can't be at this drastic of an expense of giving up offense when you have the puck.
But the look is a more playoff type than we've ever seen before. And like you said, they've only given up 2.2 goals in their last 10 games per game. 2.2. So if you're winning from the net on out, 2-1 scores, 3-2 scores, we see a lot of that in the playoffs. And right for Stolarz, if nothing changes from here on in, it really looks like this guy's going to end up somewhere with 50 games, 50-plus games. Like there's no question who the number one goaltender is for the Toronto Maple Leafs moving forward here.
No, he's been phenomenal. Now he's up for quite a test on Saturday, playing his old team, and Mr. 1,000 points and Connor McDavid. He's going to be in for one. But I agree with you, Nick. I mean, he's taken this net. He's earned it. As long as he stays healthy, he should crush his career high in starts. And I was actually looking, like, the way Jeremy Swayman's been going, guys, I think Anthony Stolarz should be in serious consideration for that third spot on the Team USA Four Nations team. Swayman has an 888. Stolarz is like 930 or something. Like, he's been phenomenal. He's been really steady. And I just wonder if they be, going into the season, no one would have mentioned his name in those conversations. but he's playing phenomenal hockey right now. And I just wonder if he's starting to change the minds of the decision makers a little bit there.
Luke, thanks for your time, man. Just hit the power off button and you should be good to go the rest of the weekend.
Okay.
Good luck. Thanks, Luke.
Delete. All right. Okay, let me figure this out.
That is Luke Fox, Leaf and NHL writer for Sportsnet.ca.
The one thing that stands out to me about this team being more low event, you mentioned last 10 games, not giving up a lot of goals, built from the back end out. I love the idea of having a low event team when you have elite scorers. The guys that, can break the tight games open and have those moments.
Yeah.
When the other teams don't have those guys, it's a big advantage.
And it really did play out that way Wednesday night. Like there's a momentum
tight all of a sudden.
A momentum switch, and then you get a power play, and within 3 seconds of winning a faceoff, the Marner ties the game up. Mm-hmm. That's what that type of talent
have
can
the
do
guys
for you.
that can make a play like Tavares and OT.
The counter to that is every game in the first round last year was incredibly low event, and they didn't break through very many times.
But their
and they
guys
still
were
lost.
kind of sick and out and hurt.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They've played low event games in the playoffs that have not gone their way.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
He's not wrong. And then the focus and the shutdown and the film and
it gets real hard for those guys.
real hard, and that's where you
just need another layer. Another layer.
There is somewhat of a concern still on what you think that a third line can end up looking like for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It ain't Holmberg, Lorentz, and Dewar.
It's two
Robertson.
It's two people that aren't on the roster right now, quite frankly.
By the way, I didn't mean to put Lorentz there. Like
Two, yeah.
Yeah, there's one for sure. They're shopping for a centerman already, I think.
Good. They need it.
I think Lorentz has a playoff goal in him.
I think so too. I like
big one.
I like Lorentz.
Buddy, he'd be better than what they've been getting from their depth.
Just one.
Okay, a couple.
Listen,
I meant a big one.
Through the first 3 games, we thought Steven Lorentz was Matt Sundin. So, he was scoring the backhand goal bar down against the Devils. We're like, oh, my God.
Those tense games, though, the Leafs have had a lack of guys that seem to rise up in close games, and you notice him in those games. He's not afraid of
He scored a couple big goals. One of them got taken away, but, off his pant leg against Washington, that goal in St. Louis to make it a 3-2 game late in the game. There's been moments where he's been contributing.
Playing a Stanley Cup winner, you're probably not too intimidated by too many moments in the regular season.
Couple quick things. If you're going downtown Saturday night, Leafs Oilers, you start arriving to the rink around 6:30ish. I believe there's a certain pop star that forced me off the damn Gardner yesterday that we had Leo Messi and LeBron James in the city within the last month, but we have to go motorcade for Taylor Swift. Anyways, it's going to be a busy one downtown.
How old are you?
It's going to be a busy one downtown. So if you like crowds, that's going to be your place. And Leaf game usually gets out around 10. Concert probably getting out around 10:30.
God.
Have fun down there, guys.
Is she
bring a helicopter?
Is she like Bruce? Does she go for 3 hours?
3.5 hours?
Yeah, she goes. I mean, if you're charging $10K for a ticket, you should probably go 3.5.
She's not charging $10K for a ticket.
You're right. Somebody is.
She's seeing a couple bucks.
Oh, yeah.
She's probably doing all right.
Yeah.
It's just the money must be just sick.
Oh, it's sick.
Well, I think if you're her, this is I'll do this for a year and a half, and then I assume never work again.
Also,
if she starts putting out some twangy album for another $20 stop working. Just be done.
I hear great things about her.
I hear the shows are fat.
No, forget the shows. She's just really
genuine person.
Genuine.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So, I don't have enough time to say it.
I got a quick one. Shout out.
Okay.
Own Sound.
Yeah.
Goalie goal last night for my boy Carter George, the attack. And Curtis McDermott, Sauble Beach, Ontario native, Own Sound guy. And Jonah Gadjevich fought last night. Big Own Sound night on the ice last night, boys. Shout out my hometown. There you go. I know you guys are thrilled about that.
More in the National Hour.
All right, then.
On Taylor Swift. She'll be joining us.
Oh, big get.
Yeah, we have
You
Taylor's
didn't
on.
book her?
Taylor.
You didn't book her?
Taylor, you
We're
coming?
having Zoom issues. She can't come through.
Okay, if we can't get Taylor,
Try to
at
get her
least
on the phone.
We'll try to get Doug MacLean.
Oh, same thing.
All right. Off the Rails continues after the break. We go national. Don't you dare change the channel. All right, let's take it national. The Real Kyper and Bourne show live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Now, Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in
Taylor Swift?
not Taylor Swift. We tried to book her.
We told Sam well in advance.
her show doesn't come on for a few hours, right?
Well, when I was
Couldn't get her?
in the motorcade, I was waving at her. I was like, "Hey, Taylor,
Come on, the real Kyper and Bourne. Come on.
She's like, "No, we got bad blood." That's what she said.
No, she said, you know what she said?
This guy's ugly.
It's Friday, and I can't dare take Doug MacLean's spot.
No, she knows. She wants to listen to Doug MacLean when he comes on.
So in a few minutes, we'll welcome in Mac. And then later on in the show, Halford and Brough, our friends in Vancouver.
Both have been on the show multiple times.
They've been on the show multiple times.
The best.
In the
My
morning,
favorite show.
Yeah,
in the morning, they had Marty McSorley on. And I don't think Marty has ever spoken in Vancouver since that stick incident 20 plus years ago.
You mean when
Brashear.
he was slashed Brashear in the head?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think he's...
Stick incident. Right way to put it. When he slashed him in the...
He had a legal curve?
All right.
He did once.
Yeah. He broke a stick? What happened?
So he went on this morning, and I just found it fascinating.
It's, to me, one of the better sports radio interviews in some time.
It's electric.
Don't really have time to get into it, but we will a little later on in the show because I want to get your thoughts. I'm not sure you guys were born when that happened.
Oh, I was born.
What year was that? How old do you think I am?
That was like...
What year was that, honestly?
2002?
I was in grade 6.
2000 or
Doesn't help
2002?
me at all.
I was born in 1988, so yeah. Anyways, I was in grade 6. I remember we had to do like a project every day where he'd bring in like something from the newspaper and talk about it in the class. I brought in 4 different McSorley articles. Like, we have to talk about this. It was like, it was a big...
What a producer. You were always a producer. You're bringing the story of the day.
Yeah, always.
So if McSorley going on their show isn't the biggest story, I mean, a loss at home to the Islanders is the biggest.
But and what was a stat I saw yesterday? The Canucks didn't have a shot within 20 feet of the net through 2 periods of a game against the Islanders at home yesterday.
I got to tell you, I watched a lot of that game.
Why?
No
disrespect. It's my favorite team. I have 2 teams I love.
I was up. And I was Sportsnet Plus, fired up on the TV, watching away. They were putrid.
Yeah.
Putrid effort. And, we can play the clip later after we got talk to Doug, but, talks apologizing to the fans. I was like, oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
It's not pretty.
Nope.
All right, in for Taylor Swift today, because we couldn't book her. It's too close to the show, Mac. That's why you're on today. Let's welcome in Doug MacLean, former NHL president, GM, head coach, and Swiftie.
You got a friendship bracelet on?
Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. I love. There's nothing like Fridays for me. It's like it's like Christmas.
If you were here, would you go to Taylor Swift's concert, or would you sell the ticket?
What's with the motorcade to bring her in town? Like, are you kidding me? Like, what is that all about? Who's paying for that? Taxpayers pay for that? Like, what a joke.
You would take that kind of entrance any day of the week.
I'm just shaking my head at that. Like the president of wherever, I'm not going to say United States, wouldn't get a reception like that.
So would you sell your ticket or would you go to that show? Because you are a concert guy, you and Jill.
I would give it to my daughter because she loves Taylor Swift.
Oh, there you go.
Loves it. She saw her in Cincinnati, said it was the best show she's ever been to. So, and she thinks she's terrific.
Awesome. Okay, so
we found out how important she is in USA politics. Her and J-Lo really did, and Oprah didn't really swing it for Kamala.
The T-Swift endorsement didn't get it done.
Not quite the difference makers.
Listen, I was just thinking, they said there was this article, and I thought of you guys when I heard it, that Camilla and the Democrats paid Oprah $1 million for that interview.
Really? Is that why she ran out of money?
Oh, 100%. And then I thought, well, you're doing pretty well on Kyper's show. That's, it's not bad, $1 million. Like, give me a break. What a joke.
So what you're saying is she should have been free like you are with us right now.
Listen, talk it instead of apologizing to the fans, he should apologize to the owner and the GM, maybe. That's who I'd be apologizing to.
Mac, and of course you're alluding to Rick Tocchet, who had some pretty interesting words after the game, including the one that kind of surprised me the most was Patrick Waugh outcoached me. How surprised were you to hear those words from Rick Tocchet?
Shocked, because look, you get enough criticism from the outside noise, from people telling you can't coach, from the owner on down at times. You don't have to give it to yourself. Like, just wait till they come after you and then deal with it then. But don't set it up for them. Don't set it up that your team has been absolutely lousy at home and playing light hockey, which he referred to as well in his interview. I mean, I know he's such a straight shooter and such an honest guy. I get where he's coming from, but don't take any more heat than you really have to. There's enough that goes with the job.
That Canucks team is 8-4-3 at this point. But that feels like some of the losses haven't been overly pretty. What are your thoughts on that roster? He got the most out of it last year possible, career years from a number of guys. They win the division. Are they good enough? Do they have the talent for that to be the expectation again?
Look, I'll tell you two kids that have just blown me away, and that's the two Hughes brothers. What they have meant to their teams, the Canucks and the Devils, is at that age, to me, is so impressive. It's amazing. So, they're like he said, they're playing very light at home. I mean, I've heard of you playing light on the road, but usually guys don't play light at home. Are they as good as we think they are? I thought they were a pretty good team. I thought they were a pretty good team this year. I thought they would be better. I know, Demko is a major hole. Zadorov, as bad as he's been in Boston, is a big hole on their back end. Their defense is overrated right now, and it's hot and cold, which a lot of teams are. I mean, we see it on a nightly basis. So I wouldn't write them off. No.
The light comment, I get what you're saying, that he's just thinking that they didn't play hard enough, maybe, or is there a chance that it's also a message to his general manager that we aren't built heavy enough? I need to get heavier in the roster. Is that a possibility, or that's not Rick?
I don't think that's Rick. I really think if Rick, I suspect Rick has a great relationship with Jimmy and Alvin, and I would have that conversation with them versus throwing it out in the media. I just don't think it's worth your while to say things that, first of all, apologizing to the fans. You know what? Yeah, okay, I get it, I guess, but don't bring any more on yourself than the job already entails. They're a decent team. Are they a Stanley Cup contender? They think they are. I thought at the first of the year they were going to be tough to beat in that division. I really did. It's going to be fun to see, with Winnipeg, with the way these teams are playing, who knows? And it's not going to hold up. I know that.
Let's move one province over and talk about the Oilers, who last year were within a game and a goal of winning a Stanley Cup for the Edmonton Oilers, for the province of Alberta in general. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Flames fans wouldn't like it. What are your thoughts on Connor McDavid getting to 1,000 points, Doug?
You know what? At my age, I'm hoping I'll see him get to 2,000. Then I'll really be excited. I think it's just unbelievable, and the way he did it. Big play, big goal. This guy just never ceases to amaze me how talented he is. He's that good. He makes everybody around him better. He's a consummate pro. He's Wayne. When Wayne was in his prime, as the way he handles the media, the way he handles his teammates, I just think it's, he's had it since he was 6 years of age, and these kids are groomed that way. I think he's special. I mean, it is what he did in the playoffs last year, how he rallied the troops, how he sets the tone in the dressing room, which really surprised me when I saw that clip. I didn't expect that from him, but this guy's a leader. He's pretty, well, everybody knows he's special. But I like to look at the downside of things, though, you know, on Fridays. I don't like to be ultra positive. You know, I said to Nick the other day, like, the worst thing that can happen to a GM in your job is 15 games into the season, you have to fix the mess that you created in July and August.
So who's that?
Yes.
And that's Nashville and Pittsburgh right now. They both created the messes in July and August, the GMs, and now they've got to fix the mess. And it's not easy when you have, especially in Nashville, when you've got to, when you say to your players, well, if this doesn't, you guys don't wake up, I'm going to start the rebuild. You got to handle this really delicately because you've got a group in that dressing room with big ears. And I think it's a tough situation for both those GMs because they created it. And like Dubas knows, if he fires Sullivan, which is actually out there, some conversation about that, I'm thinking, are you serious? That's not the problem because you know where Sullivan will end up 5 minutes after he's fired.
Boston.
Exactly. So, you know, I dare say that's the problem, although it's starting to gain a little bit of traction, which shocks me, you know?
I think the Fenway group's a big Sullivan fan too. The Fenway group.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
How much do they like
Didn't he interview Dubas for the job?
Sullivan?
I thought he was involved in the interview process. If that's the case, he should not interview anybody else anymore. He should step away from that.
Yeah. I can't confirm it, but I have heard whispers that, you know, Sullivan was very much part of it. That's how respected he is in that ownership.
As they say, as my mother used to say, I'm not telling you it's the truth. I'm just telling you what I heard.
I like it. I love it. Let me ask you about Winnipeg Jets losing to Tampa, and I'm not here to suggest that coaches want their team to lose, but is there a sense of relief maybe from Scott Arniel or others that, like, okay, we weren't going to go on this torrid pace forever. It's okay that we can pull it back a little bit and regroup. Maybe we've won a couple of games we shouldn't have, or, you know, got bounces. But does this kind of, you know, make a coach say now we can, you know, just focus on the things that we need to do, opposed to carrying this feeling that we got to continue to be the hottest team to ever start in a season in history?
As long as he doesn't lose 2 or 3 in a row, you know, and that's what every time you lose a game, you're starting to think about the next game. And then you look ahead at the next 3 games, say, oh, this could get ugly, you know. But here's what Scott Arniel has done. They're in the playoffs. This start alone has guaranteed them a playoff spot, which going into the season, nobody would have said they're a guarantee to make the playoffs. You know, they've always had a good team. So that should take a fair amount of pressure off. I like the way they're playing. I really do. And Scott, I didn't think Scott was going to be the man there, and he has done a great job. Now let's not kid ourselves. Hellebuck it's all about Hellebuck. Their blue line has been pretty solid. As I mentioned last week, a couple of guys in that 5-6 hole have been real good for them. Morrissey's a star. Connors is a star. Their second line has been a lot better and faster than anybody thought they'd be. Everybody thought they didn't have a second line. It's been one of their best lines. So I like what's going on there. I think it's really good. It's great. Listen, there was conversation 6 months ago that this wasn't going to survive as a franchise, guys. Season tickets were tough. You know, the fan base was getting agitated. It was starting to percolate a little in Winnipeg. Not that it's going to happen, but there was a lot of conversation about that. Again, I'm just telling you what I heard. I don't know if it's the truth.
We love hearing what you've heard, Doug. It's all interesting stuff. Have you heard anything about the goaltending of Linus Ullmark in Ottawa? That's a team that I've got my eye on that's playing pretty darn well, but he buried him last night, I thought.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
So I watched the Leafs in Ottawa the other night, and I thought it was men against boys. I was blown away how impressed I was with Ottawa. I know Toronto had an off game. didn't play very well. They're missing Matthews. I thought it was a embarrassment, that game. And I thought, wow, this Ottawa team looks good. And with Ullmark, they've got a chance to do some damage. They've got to get him in a rhythm here. And all of a sudden, he drops this one on them last night where he was horrible, cost them the game. They were still as dominant against Philly as they were at home as they were against Toronto on the road. Still as dominant, and he let in 3 horrendous goals. So now what happens? They're going on the road. They're going to play Carolina on the road, who just got beat up by Utah, who's going to be a nasty group. And then they got Vegas and Edmonton. And now they've got to go with Forsberg in the next game.
Really?
They've got to go with Forsberg. Yeah,
really?
I think they're going
would you
with
be
Forsberg.
too scared to go back and say, here's your chance to redeem yourself quickly? The team's going well.
I was told today that it probably will be Forsberg. I'd go back to Ullmark. I thought he should have played Ullmark. We talked about this last week. I thought he should have stayed with him after he lost in Buffalo 5-1. I thought he should have come back with him. He's his guy. But listen, guys, when you get a boatload of money, when you get a $50 million or whatever they're giving these guys, it doesn't, like Saros gets the big hit in Nashville. He's not their problem, but he hasn't been nearly as good, guys. When guys hit the big Swayman in Boston, I know he missed camp. That's an excuse. But when you get this boatload of money, it takes a while to work through it.
Well,
if Ullmark plays with the way he's capable of, Ottawa's going to make the playoffs, and they're going to do some serious damage in the playoffs. That team with that Tkachuk kid, I don't know what it is. Well, I know what it is about the Tkachuks, but I absolutely love this kid in Ottawa. I think he's a horse. I think he's going to will this team the way his brother did. I'm blown away watching this kid, how hard he plays and how he competes. 30-goal scorer, but he's going to be a horse. He's going to be a guy that plays in the playoffs. So I really like their team right now. So we'll see.
Money, I'm telling you right now, because I first met you in Washington when you were broke. You were a lot nicer back then. Money changes.
Listen, I just watched David Poile go in the Hall of Fame, and he fired me with 2 weeks left in my contract, with $500 in the bank, and Jill was pregnant, and I had to be out of the country because I had no medical insurance. And he goes in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, David. I'm really happy for you. I rebounded after that.
Yeah, you sure did.
I think Angela Duckworth would say, you learned grit. He taught you grit.
If David's listening, David, I'm just kidding.
Sure
I'm just
you
kidding,
are.
David.
Don't believe him, David.
Yeah.
He's really like this.
All right, so this is that Ottawa team better than Boston? What's going on in Boston? They just got smoked last night.
Are you serious?
They might miss the playoffs.
You're not serious.
I'm dead serious.
You're not serious. Are they better? Well, the way they're playing right now, they're better than Boston. The way they're playing.
Not even close for
I
you.
think they are. Not even close. The way they're playing right now. Well, but you know what, guys, we'll see. I mean, look at the Leafs. Look at the Leafs. I watched the Leafs against Ottawa. They didn't show up, okay? I watched them against Washington, and I shut it off after it's 3-1 because they gave me no indication they were coming back in that game.
Agreed.
But here's the situation, and I said this. When you're out in a fancy restaurant having dinner and the big guy with all the money leaves the table and goes without picking up the tab, the guys that are left at the table have to divvy up, and pay the bill. Well, the Leafs that are left over at that table after Matthews left with all the money, they haven't divvied it up yet. They did for 5 minutes in the third period in Washington, which I was really excited about. But the boys still at the table. Marner's been terrific. Nylander's got to be better. There's a whole slew of them got to be better.
What they've got McMahon, they've got Holmberg, Robertson's still in the mix. You really have no choice but to keep going back to the well and waiting for them. Do you start looking for secondary scoring, Mac, or a centerman now? Do you just wait it out? Because we assume they're going to be comfortable in that Atlantic, either 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, there's no doubt they're making the playoffs. I'm shocked at the way some of these passengers have been playing. Really, I thought when Matthews went out that it would, look, I know Marner's played really well, and Nylander's been up and down. He gives up one, he creates a great one, but the last 2 games, Washington gave it away, and the night before against Ottawa, the Leafs were a no-show. And the McMahons and these guys, I don't know. I've never liked them at playoff time. I've never really loved their bottom 6. We've talked 4 years about it, and I don't know if it's any better.
Yeah, it does remain to be seen. Do you think that their goaltending situation is the best it's been? Is that enough to make a big difference for them?
Well, the big kid has been so good, and Wall gave them a good performance. So look, I think their goaltending's fine. Nyes has surprised me. He's playing like a bull. He's making big plays. He's battling. It's now, as Nick said, he's going to be too expensive. They'll have to trade him at the deadline. Is that what you were inferring? They have to trade him at the deadline, Nick? If he's going to get too much money, or do you think they should keep him?
Never mentioned that, but thanks.
But it's a good direct ask. I like that.
Thanks for reading.
That's what I read into it. That you were just sharpening him up, giving Tree Living a little warning that he's going to be up against. As I've always said, Nick is tight with the PA. There's no denying that.
Listen, Tree knows he's got some options, as the players do.
I know they do. It's great. Yeah. So look, it's wide open. There's some team of Jersey are like, what's going on there? Again, we go back to Hughes and these kids. They toyed with the Panthers for 2 games, and this is a good Panther team. By the way, Jeff Rimmer invited me to a Panther game the other night. He phoned me and invited me to the game.
He still talks to you?
You're friends with Jeff Rimmer?
He bought me a cheese sandwich at Starbucks last week. I couldn't believe it. He wanted to meet at Starbucks. I said on a show the other day, he's sour. He may go back to broadcasting because he's pissed off that Sam Rosen's getting so much notoriety, more than he got. So he thinks he may want to go back. So when he invited me to the game, he said, I'm pretty sure I can get you a press pass. That's the invite.
So does Starbucks make up for the fact that he never mentioned you in his speech when he retired?
No, and then well, I didn't deserve the mention. I only hired him about 4 times. I gave him a job about 4 times. Why would I get mentioned in his retirement speech? JD made his career. JD. Good God. Anyway. Don't mention Doug MacLean, the guy that he phoned me when he was with the Panthers because they cut his salary to $200 a week during the lockout.
Okay, all right.
He's begging me for a job. But anyway, that's okay.
All right,
that's for another show.
Okay.
He did buy me a
Let's get back to the NHL. Let's get back to the NHL. Marty St. Louis and the Montreal Canadiens, they're going through a bit of a rough time here. Shutout the other night. Listen, Marty's not going anywhere unless Marty wants to leave and do something else now. So what can change there in the next little while? Do they have even enough on the bench to help Marty?
Look, you got an experienced head coach who is a Hall of Famer, just a tremendous player, and what can you say about it? But he needs some help. He needs some coaching help. And so Jordan Gallant is sitting in Summerside, former assistant coach with the Montreal Canadiens with Therrien.
Had success there.
Had success. The players really like him. He knows how to talk to players. An associate coaching role there. I don't know if Girard would take it. I'm not sure he would. But I know one thing, I'd be calling him and talking to him and saying, hey, we can use you. And I think if it's not Girard, it's somebody else. He needs some help coaching.
Wouldn't that be admitting a mistake, hiring someone to help the coach?
I'd rather admit a mistake than get fired.
Well, I don't think his job's in jeopardy. No one gets that impression.
His job's not in jeopardy now, right? But it's going to be.
He's got
you got to win some games.
He's got Trevor Letowski on the bench, and he's got Stefan Robidas.
Yeah,
who also hasn't coached more than a few years.
And you know what? I had Trevor in Columbus, and I love the guys. He's a terrific guy. But let me tell you something. To bring in a veteran coach to work with you, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, look at the guys that have been hired by John Cooper, with the experienced guys that he's put behind the bench with him. Lots of guys do that. I just think it's, I just think they need it. I mean, they look like they're a decent team the last 20 games. They look horrendous right now. It's frightening watching them.
Doug, where do we find you these days?
You know what? I've been walking the beach a lot. I haven't been sunbathing, but I've been walking the beach a lot. I've been swimming a ton.
You're looking lean.
For conditioning. I'm doing yoga. What else am I doing, Jill? Not
being a pain in her ass. That's what else.
I'm heading to the rooftop bar at Nick's Hotel here in Delray, the Ray Hotel. I'm going to head up there tonight, meet some friends at my sister and her husband. I'm going to meet them at the rooftop bar at the Ray. Last night we went to J&J Seafood. We wandered up the avenue. So I've been busy, really, really busy.
I want to be that kind of busy. That's the busy I'm striving for.
And I'm got my paperback. As you guys know, Draft Day came out in paperback, so I've been pushing that a little bit. So it's everything's pretty good. I'm busy. I'm watching a lot of hockey. By the way, I stepped up. This show costs me money. I want you to know that. It costs me money.
We're not paying you, but now it's costing you money.
Yeah. I just bought a new 65-inch TV so I can watch games, so I can be more accurate on this show. And it cost me $900 US.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with us. It's like when you're well over 65, you buy a 65-inch screen. You can't.
I thought you needed a screen that big to see the font on your text,
yes,
Doug.
You're basically blind, is what you're telling us.
I just wanted to see the game in a more detailed vision, so I can be more accurate on this show.
I'm scared for our game that you're watching.
I've listened to you guys when I'm not on, and
yeah, it's boring.
Sammy was okay the other day. Don't let him he's got a big enough head as it is. You don't want him to, but I didn't even know it was him. I thought it was Borny there.
Great job filling in for Taylor Swift in our opening block here. Really appreciate it. Thanks for doing this, Max.
Thanks a lot for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
It's a real honor,
Doug
Doug.
MacLean, waiting for the Amazon guy to bring him his 65-inch television.
Send the invoice for that to Sportsnet. I wonder how that would go.
It'd kill for his problems.
All right.
I will say, if there's one thing, we always talk about how much inflation there is in the world and how much everything costs.
The price of a TV is through the floorboards.
If there's one thing that's gone way cheaper, it's unbelievable TVs.
Yeah.
You go to Costco, it's like, it's a TV, 90-inch, $10.
Yeah.
So when did plasma come out? Like
I don't know.
in the early 2000s?
Expensive.
No, like 17 grand, like 20 grand.
Did you pay that?
Please. No, not a chance.
Okay.
But no, we just had, we had a friend of ours move to town here, and we went to Costco, got a 55-inch TV. It was like $290.
Yeah, it's absurd.
All right.
What?
Awesome.
First plasma was made when?
1964?
I don't know if that's true.
We're getting bad information. He says yes.
Okay.
All right, Derek.
Okay. We will fact check that one in the break.
Yes, we will.
Game time?
Game time.
It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Now, I've been a very good boy so far this show, and I haven't mentioned my beloved Argos that are in the Grey Cup. It's the Grey Cup weekend. Great Canadian tradition. Everybody makes fun of the CFL. I get it.
We don't.
Borny does all the time. He takes any chance to make fun of the CFL.
Here's the thing. I genuinely respect and enjoy the CFL. I like to bother you.
Yeah, it does
It's like
bother
one of the things I can bother you.
It really does bother me. Anyways, my beloved Argos are in the Grey Cup. They're playing the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, a classic matchup. Argos own the Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup. I forget what the record is, but they beat them every time they go. Anyways, everybody knows Chad Kelly ravaged his ankle in a very gross fashion, broke his ankle. He's out for it. Nick Arbuckle is the quarterback for the Argos. They are 9.5-point dogs to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the Grey Cup. Huge underdogs, plus 350 on the money line. Give me the Argos in a big upset. They're going to take down the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They own them in the Grey Cup.
My favorite thing about the Argos is Sammy telling me that it's like the last place you can go that is not like a super corporate, milk everyone for every dollar sporting event. And he really enjoys going.
It's the best. It's the best crowd. I couldn't love it more. And watch the Grey Cup on Sunday. Last thing I'll say, another big event tonight. Mike Tyson is fighting again tonight. Mike Tyson is fighting Jake Paul tonight. I think Jake Paul, right? Not the other one. No, it is Jake Paul.
Okay, for the record, I just hate that like Mike Tyson at close to 60 feels the need to do
they
this.
They have to be giving him $10 million. Like $10 million has to be the floor for this.
Which makes it even like sadder.
Yeah, no, it's a very sad spectacle. Nothing about it is uplifting societally.
Very, very sad.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Yeah, but now,
What's sadder?
Granted, I would love to see Mike Tyson punch this fella in the face and knock him out. That would delight me a great deal, but it's not going to happen.
So the line is Jake Paul is a minus 250 favorite over 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is plus 200 tonight. I feel like
I just hope he doesn't get hurt.
I feel like Mike's got to get him early.
So
got to catch him early if it's going to happen. But I also feel like it's maybe
I'm one of those guys with 15 different subscriptions. So I have Netflix. Does that mean I can watch it?
I don't know.
Because if this was
I think so.
If this was call up your cable company and pay $79,
No.
I'm not paying another dime for it. I'm getting it for free with my subscription.
Oh, you do? I thought you had to pay extra.
I will watch it.
I think it's just streaming on Netflix if you have Netflix.
Oh.
If you have Netflix and you get to
trying
watch
to
it.
grab people who wouldn't normally subscribe and add the service. That's the idea.
And then you forget about it, and then they ding you forever.
God, they're paying like Chappelle, $50 million for a stand-up bit. I'm sure they don't mind throwing a bunch of money at this.
I will watch it if I'm already getting it, but I won't go search for it.
There are some things that can make you feel a little better about it. Instead of the 10-ounce gloves, they're 14-ounce gloves. So hopefully not as much damage. They're 2-minute rounds instead of 3. I only see Mike at the end of a 3-minute round.
I'm really hoping Mike punches his face.
Yes, that would be awesome.
It would be great.
This is not good for the history of boxing.
It's kind of the way it's going, where it's like these guys see like John Jones and UFC talking about how he can probably make more money doing show fights than fighting the best guys.
I don't think there's a scarier human being in the history of Earth than Prime Mike Tyson. And I don't think
How about 60-year-old Mike Tyson?
I don't think this does anything.
Scary.
This does nothing for his legacy, though. No one's gonna be like, "Oh, remember that time he took the bag to fight Jake Paul?" No one's gonna
Everyone's
Did you see what he said
take
about?
a knee. He should just take a dive.
Did you see what he said about legacy?
Yeah, I did.
To a 14-year-old girl who asked
It's
about
one of the funniest clips.
Don't
of
worry
all
about
time.
it. We're
Well, it's
all going to
almost
die.
like Mike's
Oh, good old Mike. Anyways,
Mike's
that was a very interesting edition of Game Time presented by Bet365.
All right.
Visit the app, latest odds, to find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, we're going to break because when we come back, we want to talk about Marty McSorley, who went on Vancouver radio earlier this morning on Halford and Brough.
Yep.
And, we're talking about it.
Hey, great interview.
Save it. More after this. All right, our thanks to Doug MacLean for driving it in the ditch on a Friday for us. He never disappoints us.
Do people know who Jeff Rimmer is? He kills Jeff Rimmer on their show.
God, he's hard on Rimmer.
He was the play-by-play guy for Columbus and Florida.
And Washington. We were all together in Washington.
Okay, so Doug had hired him in both those places.
Yes, that's right.
And gives him a very hard time. To the point where we couldn't get Jeff Rimmer on the show when we tried once.
He's like,
He's the first guy to not make an excuse and just say, no, I'll pass.
oh my God. Anyways.
All right.
Let's
Okay.
move on. Speaking of contentious interviews,
Jamie, the PM, sent me a tweet saying that Marty McSorley was on the morning show, Halford and Brough, and wanted to get our thoughts on it. And he's from Coquitlam, BC.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good pronunciation, bud.
yeah. So I went and found it, and I couldn't stop listening to it.
I'll be honest. Sometimes you have audio, like you like to listen to things or
Yeah.
whatever, and I heard the first like 19 seconds of it, and all of us sat and listened to every second of it for 20 some minutes.
So just to put it into context, Marty's there for a Vancouver Giant event, and he's never
Which is the WHL team. If you're
Yes.
not, yeah.
and he's never spoken to a Vancouver audience. At least that's what I remember him saying.
Yeah.
And he did this morning. And here's a quick little
Just a snippet.
Just a snippet.
I'm looking at the video right now, Marty, and it's like I don't.
Hey, listen, I got a question for you. I got a question. Is this interview about the Donald Brashear incident, or are we going to talk about the Vancouver Giants?
That's where it got to.
And just for the
That's
record,
where it got to.
no, that's where it got to after like 20 minutes. That wasn't the
Great
start.
content.
That wasn't the start of the interview. That was the end of the interview where they specifically got into it.
Like talking about Marty was breaking down what he's trying to do.
Like it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
They
At one
completely
point, they
broke
said,
it down.
if you could redo the events of, is it February 1st night of 2001, what would you do?
Yeah.
And Marty goes, I'd try to cross-check him.
I'd cross-check him so he'd fight me. Was what he said.
Yeah.
And then Brough follows up with like, well, if you could talk to him today, what would you say to him? And I'm not, at no point is Marty like, I'd say sorry.
Well, and I think the guys were kind of disappointed that there wasn't more remorse or acceptance of responsibility that they weren't going to get from Marty.
And I'll tell you what, Marty didn't back down. He hung in there. He believes what he believes, and he
Okay, I think Marty did
He gave as good as he got.
a fabulous job because he was not apologetic. And he
But
to
maybe he
this
should have
day-
been.
that's
well,
fabulous.
Like,
I think he probably should have.
you know, he's apologetic for the outcome. And the thing that kind of stuck out to me the most out of that 20 minutes listening to Marty is that, guys, I wasn't the first one in the game to have a reaction like this, and I probably won't be the last one. And yet everybody feels like this was like the most horrific stick incident event in the history of the game. And it wasn't. And Marty really tried to kind of explain to them that.
What's worse, Kip?
Oh my God, go
What are we doing here?
Google. Go Google. Go Google. Anything you want. Go watch Brad. Like Vancouver's been around this before. Go watch Brad May in the early 2000s get 20-game suspension. They're all in the same family, guys.
Okay, so if your point is that there are 5 other incidents that were also awful, okay.
Yeah.
This one was the worst.
But no. It should have been in the mix of those. What's the longest suspension in NHL history for a stick incident?
For a stick
It's
incident.
probably this one.
Yeah, how many games?
I'm not sure.
I'll tell you. Like over 1,000.
What do you mean?
Marty McSorley was suspended indefinitely, and he just faded off into the sunset. Like it was never this act cost you 20 games, 25 games, 30 games. They just hung it out there. Technically, he's still suspended. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, I guess I do, but is the point that Marty want to play and they said no? Like I'm sure
he just never had a job and he never needed to go back to Gary to get
right. No one picked him up after that.
So it's like it just hung out there.
Yeah.
But like Brad May hit Steve Hines maybe in the early 2000s that cost him 20 games. Dave Brown on Sandstrom with the Rangers fly. Like they're all bad.
Okay.
They're all bad.
Sure.
So this one happened, but this one kind of got left out there, and it was made out to be way worse than anything we've ever had in the history of the game. And Marty's today on the show, Marty tried to explain like it's just not the end result. Like we've acted like this before, and there's reasons behind what happened, but I don't think the guys were that interested in
but the end result, Kip, if you drive drunk enough, a lot of people drive drunk and get home.
Yeah.
But if you hit someone when you're being reckless, the punishment's more severe.
It is, but the punishment also has a range. And where the range is the circumstances around that. So you could actually, you can kill somebody and still in our society find a way to not be guilty. Like, it all depends on the circumstances. And Marty tried to explain the circumstance to the guys that, when I get sent out there and I'm told to do a job and that's what my job is and this is the outcome of it, well, nobody wants to listen to like the circumstances around it, but anyone that's lived it or played it can have a better feel for the circumstances around the environment. And we just want to go from A to B. You did this, you're guilty, get out of the game and feel shame. And Marty's trying to explain all the details of it, but nobody ever found out the details. Nobody ever wanted to ask about the details. It was just push him to the curb.
But I think he could have shown an ounce of remorse for slashing the guy in the head, right? Like, I think that's probably what's the most upset. Like, he didn't.
If that's the only thing you need is Marty to shed a tear.
Well, no, just be like, yeah,
that's fine if you want it. You're not getting it.
And I mean, he's had 24 years or whatever it is to repurpose and sort of reorganize the events in a favorable way for him. And it's
the most famous one was Ted Green and this Wayne Mackey. I don't know, it was before my time, but that one was really bad.
I'm sure there's been other bad stick events, but I don't think that other people getting killed makes your murder okay. It's
not that it's okay. There's circumstances around it that should be heard,
considered
considered. Yeah. But that's the part where Marty didn't ever get a chance to. Nor did the NHL do an investigation, or did anything really come to surface on any of it.
If there was this culture that it created this position where he had to go out and do this, Donald Brashear was in that role too and would be understanding if he thought that was within the range of what that job was. And it sounds like he's never spoken to the man since.
He said that in the interview today.
It doesn't seem like the other enforcer in this case looked at his actions and said, that was how we handle these things in our community. It seemed to be, but it's funny to even have this conversation now. The way that Jason, Mike, and Marty revisited this like it was yesterday. It felt like not a day passed.
It felt like it could have been the next day.
Yes. Like he came on, he's talking about the stick hit his shoulder and it didn't, he hit his head on the ice. Like, Marty gets into the detail. It's like having OJ on there being like,
yes.
If I did it, this is how I would have done it.
This is where I found the socks.
I got to tell you, it's rare that I go into an interview like that and I come out seeing totally both sides of the conversation. Yeah. Where I'm like, I think that Jason and Mike did a phenomenal job on the on like the Vancouver side of it, where it's like, if I'm a Vancouver fan, I'm like, yes. And then Marty McSorley, I'm like, oh my God, this guy's back. And I came out being like, all these guys nailed it. Yeah. Like, they all were like, it was. There's not many interviews like this anymore.
Marty hung in there.
Oh, yeah.
Marty hung in there. And he's trying to say that, like, this is how I got here. Does anybody care?
Right. And everyone else is saying, first you have to care about the outcome.
Yes.
And then maybe we'll get there.
If you're waiting for Marty to shed a tear, you got the wrong guy.
And that was news to me. I didn't know that was how this stood with everyone.
Quick question. What's the most contentious interview we've ever had?
Oh, it's easy.
You just had it with Matt.
No, year one, we had Mitch Marner's skating coach on or something like that.
Oh, he buried you.
He didn't like a couple of things I had to say.
That was the same day we had Wayne Gretzky on.
Did we have Gretz?
We had Mitch Marner's skating coach.
No, we have to have.
Put Borny in a body bag.
I remember that differently, but all right.
No, I just remember he was all over.
I can't remember the details of that. You said he was a crappy skater?
No, I said that there was something that he couldn't do when I was at one of the development camps that he was working on. And the guy very much disagreed that he couldn't do it. And anyways,
I think he's doing okay now.
Who cares?
Anyways, interesting.
In one season, Marty McSorley, I was looking at his hockey DB, as I love to do. In 92-93, with the Los Angeles Kings in 81 games, he had 15 goals, 26 assists for 41 points, and 399 penalty minutes.
Is it anyone in the 40.400 PIM club
How is there
in
enough
a season?
How is there enough ice time for that to happen?
I don't know, at least since I can remember, a guy go from Edmonton who was just 100% pure
Muscle. Just a meat.
goon, muscle, protect Wayne, to turning himself into a player, a real player. Like, I think he's been the best out of all of them, that he ended up being such an important piece to the Los Angeles Kings when they came close to the Stanley Cup with Kelly Rudy and Wayne and against Montreal.
And it took time for his reputation to change. I don't know if people ever realized how effective he was as a player.
20 minutes a night.
Yeah.
Man.
And then fighting Proby.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just there, not many guys.
That's crazy.
Maybe none
Well, that's
have gone from that.
Nice light conversation to end the week, boys.
We have so much other stuff to talk about, too.
It's all right.
Were we supposed to do tweets?
Oh, we got to read some stuff. Don't we have a read to do?
No?
No?
What do you mean?
We got an email. We got supposed to read something. Anyway.
Well, thank God. Thank God I don't read emails.
We got a lot of people that were saying, they were just being like, this was worse. This one was worse.
Okay, which one? Tell me which one.
Chris Simon got 25 games for...
Chris Simon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
maybe one of the meanest guys in the history of the game.
And you fought him.
Vicious.
Mm-hmm.
But, does anyone look back at that Chris Simon incident and go...
You know who it was on? It was on Ryan Holloweg. Ryan Holloweg was on the...
vividly.
Was he on the Islanders at the time?
Well, didn't he try to step on a guy's neck, too, at one point?
Yeah.
Which one do I remember, too? Another Vancouver Canuck. Jesse Boulier. Does that name sound familiar? Didn't he bury Ryan Kessler, too?
Yeah.
The low-key underrated one is Bill Guerin on Brett Rainey in preseason.
That was on his own team.
Dino Cicerelli took a huge swing at Luke Robitaille, too.
I think
Luke
Bailey
Richardson,
one too.
head coach of Chicago.
So we were talking about our boy Mayday, and I got a text from Kenny May.
Yeah, what did he say?
He said that the guy Brad hit got a couple of stitches, and he was right back in the game.
There you go!
Canadian boy.
There you go! 20 games,
Kenny.
And Brad May goes to Vancouver.
Check it out. No intention, just an errant stick.
Yeah, boy, Kenny.
And Brad May's like a king when he goes back to Vancouver.
Yeah.
A king.
Yeah.
Right?
He did nothing wrong.
Guys, I love this show. I love this show. We just spent 20 minutes yelling at each other about something that happened in the year 2000.
Just a reminder, this hour Real Kyper and Bourne is brought to you by Bet365. They're constantly betting against us, on our show.
Excited for the Grey Cup. I'm excited for the Grey Cup. Sorry, buddy. I know you don't care.
Chad Kelly's incident was just really, like I watched it and
he's a tough son of a gun. He tried to get up, stepped on it. It went a little floppy on him, and then he was sitting there like holding it, stone faced. I was like, oh my God, I'd be screaming like a baby. Anyways, so yeah, big sports weekend.
Give me over under
of what
number score? Grey Cup.
Argos are going to win. They're going to win 24-20. Argos.
And everyone enjoy your Taylor Swift concerts.
And the Toronto Maple Leafs against Edmonton Oilers.
We really appreciate you sticking with us all week. Enjoy that Grey Cup. Enjoy Hockey Night in Canada. Our thanks to Luke Fox in the first hour, Doug MacLean in the second hour. And if you get a chance, download us wherever you get your pod. Give us a rating and review. We always love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your weekend, everybody.